Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies, and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. Books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Welcome to our second week of the Summer Writing Challenge. Last week's quick tip was how to start writing your story. This week, we look at what to do before writing. Yes, I'm being backwards. Joan Ramirez provides writing and life tips in the interview, and we end with a second check-in. Buckle up. This episode is rocky and smooth by turns, with some switchbacks and deep ruts, like any road through the mountains. Quick tip for writing, number 2. How much do I need before I start writing? This question relates to our tip in the previous episode about taglines, doesn't it? We think we need a ton of world building, or a sketch, or an outline. Some writers block out every scene, or have a detailed, in-depth outline of 20 pages or more. They're plotters. I wish I could be a plotter. I tried to be one. Unfortunately, detailed planning kills my interest in the story. And if we're not interested in our story, we won't write it, will we? We do need some world building, even when we're not in the fantasy or science fiction genres. For my short stories set on an ocean cruise in 1921, I had research on passenger ships and sample menus. I looked up early 1920s clothing. I had a log for travel times by ship. The Suez Canal gave me an idea about visiting the pyramids. More research. Today, Cairo has hotels close to the pyramids. Not so in 1921. And the old trucks did not motor at today's speeds. I was building the 1921 world for my character. Yet even after the hours and hours of research before I ever started writing, I continually stumbled over needed information as I wrote. The bulk, though, was done. So build a good understanding of your world and its major systems early in the writing of your story. Also, before I'm very far into the story, before page 10, I definitely know how I want my protagonist to resolve the major conflict. I may not know all the ins and outs, or even the antagonist, but I know how the protagonist will be at story end. Disgruntled or content, upset at injustice at the resolution, or happy with what may come after story's end. Knowing this guides the overarching mood or tone or atmosphere that I want the story to take. Whether it's a cynic accepting that the wrong cannot be completely righted, or an optimist eager for the next adventure, or a realist still flinching from the recent blow dealt by an inconsiderate, selfish world. We do not really need anything to start writing. And I've launched into whole novels with nothing more than a vague idea of a character with a problem in a situation not of her own making. Character, problem, situation. The 3 cornerstones of any story. The story that develops, surprises, and shocks me as much as the readers. And that's a good thing.
Good
Hi,
morning. So nice to see you again.
nice to see you again, Joan. How have you been?
Oh my God. I am in the midst of a Wackoville. I was interviewed about a month or so ago by the Cambridge University's School of Continuing Education for the Right Rules. It's a
Yes.
recording and it's going to be on my website. My website is being redesigned by someone really great. I'm preparing the first book in my historical suspense trilogy to send for publication. And God protect me. And this isn't being recorded, is it?
Yes, it is.
All right, we'll talk about the other thing after the recording goes off. I was
Okay.
challenged as a teacher on Monday and I rose to the occasion, but we'll talk about it afterwards. You'll appreciate it.
Well, congratulations on rising to the occasion.
Oh
I
my
know
God.
how that is so important to do.
Emily, I'm telling you, I think I'm just being challenged much too much lately. Much too much. But at any rate, let's talk because I really enjoyed my last conversation with you. You're a lovely lady.
I enjoyed ours so much. I have looked so much forward to this. Uh, and I've been on pins and needles this morning, just waiting for the time to happen. So reintroduce yourself, Joan, to our listeners, and then tell me how you view challenges in your writing, or maybe
Okay.
challenges in dealing with Wackoville.
Absolutely. I'm Joan Ramirez, and I'm the author of 5 books. The one that I am featuring and most proudest of, although I love them all like they're all my children, is The Right
Mhm,
Rules, because that is a book that teaches people how to become entrepreneurs,
mhm.
especially if English isn't their second language. And I also have done Jamie is Autistic, um, Secret Desires, my romance novel, is now in French and German. And
Congratulations.
and Jamie is Autistic is in Spanish and English, but I'm really, really proud and excited for my romance, for my historical suspense trilogy, because it is a tribute to Holocaust survivors. It does deal with that. And I'm also very happy because the psychological suspense is coming together. I find out in another 2 weeks whether I've won a contest for the young adult uh, submission that I did. I just submitted something for the Authors Guild for James Patterson North. He had a contest open, and I just squeaked in under the deadline, and life goes on. And the biggest challenge that I'm having is balancing the different genres. It's going from historical suspense while teaching part-time and doing my company with the right rules, giving webinars, trying to put everything into compartments.
Mhm.
And it's working, but it's only working because I can't have 25 children in the classroom and just focus on one child,
Mhm.
because it's very easy for me to do that because on Monday I had a little girl who sat and she didn't want to say anything. She was afraid she'd say the wrong thing. And
Right.
I said to her, "No answer is incorrect. Just speak. We want to hear what you have to say." And she did. And she was so adorable. And then this was kindergarten. And then I had another little boy in the class who was just the opposite. He was overflowing. So you give each one of them their time on the podium. And that's what I've learned about my writing, the challenge. I used to deal with all of them. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then lo and behold, I sent my historical to the editor and I'm looking and saying, "Oh my God, I left out something on chapter 1 that could have gone either way." My editor is marvelous. If I'm going to send her a copy of this, because it's hush hush until the book is published, but I just want her to know, Ms. J, that she's really pretty special, because It's been it's been so challenging for me just to be able to say, okay, I'm going to focus on this book with this deadline because it's like you have five babies lined up. They all need to have a bottle. Which one do you give the bottle first? And
Right.
then you've got kids in the back of the classroom who are having their own private little classroom.
Hmm.
And then you've got a little boy whose eye is bothering him, and you know he's got to get to the nurse and get an ice pack. So it's a revamping, restructuring of my workday
Hmm.
and being very judicious to just take one deadline at a time.
Yes.
And not like the little nest with the bird and the mama little birds where she's taking a worm out of one mouth to put it in another. No, you make sure that one baby digests the worm before you start doing things like that. And
Yes.
it's been a real breakthrough for me and a calming down
Yes.
because I can't do it the other way anymore. It gives me severe agita because I'm thinking, and the night before, oh my God, I have these two books. What's helping immensely is that the historical trilogy is historical. They both have suspense, but if you're dealing in more than one genre, deal with that genre.
Yes.
Don't deal with the suspense aspect of it.
Right.
Deal with the historical aspect of it
That
and
is
get
so
that
true.
done and get it done properly. And then go on to the psychological aspect of it.
Right.
And do your query letters. Shame on me for not doing this the first time, but I never will do that again. The minute I get done with the book, I will do the query letter. Do
Mhm.
the synopsis. Don't think that you can put it off till later. And I
Yeah.
am not a later procrastinator, but
Yeah.
you have to categorize things. Just
Yeah.
like I have a student who has autism and
Hmm.
they're special to me. But then I have a gifted and talented child.
Hmm.
You've got two books and they both need your attention. And then, of course, my husband works from home. So, on the rare occasion that he needs to ask me something, I used to go like this, it, it, it's just a matter of prioritizing, and you have to put labels on things. See, he's coming through right now. You have to put labels on what you can't and you cannot do, and you also have to put time limits on it.
Yes.
I know I have 45 minutes to get my message across to these kids. I know
Hmm.
that they have to ask questions. I have to ask questions of my characters.
Hmm.
So compartmentalize and also prioritize. And part of it's my fault because I just love what I do now and I get so excited. I bite off more than I can chew.
Hmm.
But then again, I had something beautiful happen to me this morning. I was in an interview and I needed to speak to this woman who's involved in communications.
Hmm.
And I said, look, if my right rules is not good for you, maybe it'll be good for your colleagues. And we started talking. And then she said, you're an author? You write books? Because when I do business, I don't tell people that. And she said, oh my goodness, give me your website. And I said, well, right now it's under reconstruction, but I can give you the website for my right rules for my my entrepreneurial book.
Hmm.
So it's being able, third part, to seize the opportunity.
Hmm.
When one child has a problem and the child is with another child and they have that problem, I don't want anybody to cry. I don't want anyone to get upset. Pair them together.
Yes.
Do the historical, do the psychological, but take care of the suspense first and
Right.
see what the characters can say to you because at this point my characters are talking to me. And in the historical, in the beginning, you have to get her to the point where the reader can see her struggling. And that has a lot to do with it too, the tension. I
Mhm.
don't want tension and suspense in my classroom. I want tension and suspense in my characters.
Uh,
So, how can I take what is common to both books and ramp up the suspense and tension? So,
mhm.
it's a matter of a chain link, just like that beautiful little rubber band bracelet, that chain bracelet that one of my students
Yes.
gave to me because she liked the way I was giving the lesson. It's the
Mhm.
chain link. See if you can find what's common, a common thread, but by the same time, treat each book as an individual, treat each character as an individual. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are. You're making total sense because you have to do that. When you have so many tracks that you are pursuing, you really have to devote that specific time to them and give them their individual attention before you move on to the next one. It's like I can't think about my historical novel while I'm trying to write my fantasy one. I can't think about either one of those when I'm trying to work on this podcast. So I have to devote specific time to that.
Yes, yes. And that's, I have a fantasy and it deals with a little girl who is plopped onto a ship in a shipwreck and she's trying to find the spirit of her mother. And I adored my mother and I know why I'm doing it. It's a psychological thing. I've never really let go of my mother when she died. I can't.
Yes,
So
exactly.
but it's a matter of saying, okay, if I do, what will be most effective? I had a colleague who was wonderful. She said, 10 o'clock, I stop, I'm going to bed because I'm going to be no use to my students if I'm half asleep. And I used to push and push and push in the corporate world. You can do it because you get into the office, you go into the meeting, you have adults. You can't do that with children.
No.
You can't. You have to have your attention. So it's a matter of not being scattered. It's a
Hmm.
matter of getting your facts straight. And for me, it's what I did this morning. I know this looks like gobbledygook on both sides, but it's taking and making notes. I'm
Yes.
sitting at the breakfast table and my husband is saying, "Are you eating?" I said, "Of course I'm eating. But if I don't do this, I go bananas because then I can't keep everything straight." And
Hmm.
ironically, he's beginning to do it too. But he's an engineer and engineers are so lineal, it's
Yes.
easy for him. He knows what he's got to do. I enjoy everything. Now, can I go back to when I was in my 20s and 30s and undo all those horrible mistakes I made? Can you
I
please
wish.
get into my time machine and do that?
Don't we all wish we could do that? So we don't have those haunting us in the background, but they do help us, just as our mistakes now help us. I don't know how many things that I have used, changing situations slightly to use them in my writing, and just going forward with that. And all that experience, all of our knowledge is so valuable when we're sitting down to write.
It's so important. I had a very trying experience where I was trying to promote my book, and
Mhm.
things just didn't work out with the person I was working with. But it also taught me, oh my God, suppose I'm at a book signing, and it's never happened to me, but I pray it never does, but it happened to a colleague. She was so wound up in so many books, she got to the book signing, she mixed up the books.
Oh
So
no.
wherever I go, I have, and this is what I do with, and when I have my clients, you take that little index card because
Yes.
this is embarrassing. I mean, this is really, is the mind of a maniac, and it's only for me and you because you know me. But when you're going to speak in front of an audience, a book signing, or with me when I do my training, make sure you have something that's clean and neat and presentable and professional,
Yes.
and jot those notes down.
Yes.
Because again, my husband is a genius. He's been doing what he's doing for more decades than he cares to say.
Hmm.
But it's very simple. It's up here. He knows what to do with the
Yes.
buildings. I mean, he was
Yes.
responsible for building the original World Trade Center.
Right.
So it's ingrained. Every book is a new character. Every book is a new person in my life. And I'm not going to remember and be able to keep them straight. And my friend was mortified. And the only reason they didn't throw rotten apples at her was because they know her and she's been there before. But if
Hmm.
this is something that people don't know you, they haven't spoken to you, it's just, you don't want to stand there with egg on your face. So, whatever the book is, have those notes and
Hmm.
always have a blazer with pockets. That
Yeah.
was a very big thing that she forgot to do. There was no place to put it. And the
Right.
pants didn't have any pockets. I mean, it sounds silly. It doesn't
But it's
sound,
so simple. It's also simple. And if you remember to do those things, you have them there for you. And it almost discombobulates me when I have things set up and then there's nowhere to put them so that I can reference them.
and I'm sitting here in borrowed space. This is the family home, and I love it. But in front of me in the computer are my little notes.
Hmm.
And when I'm in my own space where I am when I teach for the most part, there's more room. It's very tiny here because my husband does not need all that much space. He's not doing what I'm doing. But
Right.
you have to do that because in the class, I'm three different people.
Hmm.
When I'm in the classroom, I'm the teacher. When I'm sitting here, I'm the author, and I have to
Hmm.
be able to get those pages out. When
Right.
I am the trainer, I am customizing what I'm doing. So I have to get the personalities, but that's another thing. At the beginning of the year, I have to get to know the children. At the
Yes.
beginning of the book, I have to get to know the characters. But what I didn't realize, and I just smack myself again, and my husband hates it when I do that because he says you're a bright woman, but what I didn't realize is you have to remember the personalities of the characters.
Yes.
And unlike the children who, thank God, are not going to change because they know what they want, they know what they need. With the characters, if I have Claudette, my character in the Holocaust, on her way to rescuing one of her Jewish factory workers, I have to account for the fact that maybe the woman is sick, the motion sickness of being hidden inside of a milk truck. She's not going to be the same at the beginning of the book as she is in that scene. And
Hmm.
Claudette is going to be so nervous and routed that she's going to encounter a Nazi guard at one point. After the scene is over and they get through, she's going to go into the forest, not because she's a wuss or a weakling, but she's so overwrought from holding all of that in. And she's going to
Right.
have to relieve herself.
Right. Hmm.
But it's accounting for all of these pluses and minuses.
Hmm.
And it's also accounting for if I went into a classroom and the little girl was crying her eyes out. And
Oh.
I'd never been in this classroom. I'd been in the school and we sat down and we talked. I said, I'm going to make you my helper because you really care. You're so upset that your teacher had to leave because when I teach, the teacher goes out for a little while. Bottom line, the next time I saw her and she said, Here, this is for you. Don't open it up till the end of the day. It was one of those little rubber band chain bracelets
Hmm.
and saying, Thank you, Mrs. R. Because I have a lot of Japanese students. They sometimes have difficulty pronouncing their R's. Thank
Yes.
you for helping me. You have to give that lifeline to your books. Yes, you can send it to a publisher and say to the publisher, well, this is the way I think it should be. You figure it out. I don't do that to my editor either. I sent her all the pages, I had notes, but you've
Hmm.
got to have in the back of your mind the second case scenario.
Hmm.
So I would say it's a matter of being organized, it's a matter of prioritizing, it's a matter of getting the genre straight, but it's being open to the whims and the actions of your characters because
Hmm.
after a while, if the book is worth anything, it's them leading you, not you leading them.
Exactly. Exactly. And you have to be willing to let go and let them lead while you follow along and just try to keep up.
Well, that's not to say that the lovely publishers out there, whoever they are and whoever, please God, I'm fortunate enough to get a contract with, then that's the third part. Then you step out and they're talking to you
Hmm.
because they know their audience. But then again, you have to also be a little bit firm because you have your work and you've been with this project. With this instance, I've been with it on and off for 5 years.
Yes.
So it's a give and take, it's a relationship. And you have to be willing to give a little and to take a little. And that's why I don't like this bloody thing because I don't text. I hate it. I am not into all this technology. I like to phone, I like to email. And someone who I think very highly of, she mixed up some dates. And she said, well, I saw this on the text. More than likely, it was somebody else and it was the same date. So I'm very firm on that when I'm dealing with people, when I'm sending things off. You want me to send things? I'm not going to be able to do it through a text. I want to be able to do it ideally through a Zoom
Hmm.
because look at how many expressions, look at the feelings I've expressed. You can get a better feel for me this way than if we're just going back and forth in emails.
You really get to know people when you speak to them because you're picking up not only the verbal but also the nonverbal cues, which you don't. It's very hard to convey that by text and by email. It's very, very difficult.
And it's very difficult when sometimes I talk to my editor and I think she's fantastic, but she will give me a quick 5 seconds on the phone. But
Mhm.
unless you are, oh, gotta turn, mm, school's calling me. And I forgot to turn off the phone. I apologize.
It's
It's
okay.
It's the body language that you have for your characters. And I'm guilty of this quite often. The sensory. She'll say to me, remember the sensory. Now I remember because these characters are beginning to affect me. I'm
Mhm.
beginning to worry about one, the villain. I just want to punch and keep on punching. So, I mean, there's so many sides to me now
Mhm.
because I'm worried about the little daughter of the character's supervisor in the factory.
Mhm.
If she goes, the little girl will go. And you know what happened to children?
Mhm.
Immediately, they were gassed. So
Yes.
I've got so much on my plate that the other night I went to bed and I had all this in my head. And I got up and I was in New Jersey. My husband was here. I didn't have a sounding board and I was really panic stricken. And I got a really bad tummy ache. And I thought to myself, you're just going to have to make sure and keep that little girl safe.
Mhm.
So it's how do you do the challenge? You do it step by prioritizing and being very firm with yourself
Mhm.
and not, I mean, during my prep period, I get like 15 minutes and I'm looking at this thing and someone wants this, the editor wants that, but the principal wants that. Somebody else wants that. What is the most important right now? And the world will not come to an end if in 15 minutes I haven't solved all the issues. That's a time element too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. You've given us so much information. Thank you, Joan. I'm going to turn off the recording now. Uh, let's see. I can't see it without my glasses. There it is. Time for our second check in, covering June 1 to 10, the first 10 days. We needed 7,070 words. Where are we? Well, I had a great start to the novella. Over the last 3 days, I reached 2,210 words and finished chapter 1. So by day 4, I had 680 words on that day. Day 5, 1,190 words. 6, 1,020 words. On 7 and 8, I wrote 2,380 words. Day 7, it was so hectic I forgot to record, so I had to do a little math and combine days 7 and 8. And then I also did that for days 9 and 10. I fell short. I should have had about 1,400 words, and I only achieved 1,360 words for that, which gives me a grand total for those days of 8,840 words. But I was required to have over 1,000 words less, 7,070 words. So I'm 1,770 words ahead. That's good. I will have a missed day soon. I know it. So here we are. We're zooming right along on the novella, and the Summer Writing Challenge has had a great start. How are you doing? Make a comment and tell us where you are in your challenge, what disruptions or distractions that you're having, what problems with creativity that you're having. I know that I'm going to be burning out on creativity very soon, and I will have to do something analytical on that day to reset my brain. Thanks for listening to The Write Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Remy Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at thewritefocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at winkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mind your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.